right, let's see what the delay is like on this thing. Oh, it's pretty good. All right. Hello.
Am I supposed to be quiet yet?
Well, I mean, I'm streaming, but it's all pre-show.
Um, if you wanted, I could. I just looked at it today. The where we talked about the bike helmet stuff. Um, yeah, the bike helmet like totally cracked. Um,
Ooh,
yeah, it's supposed to though. Like that's actually how they're designed.
well, better better
Yeah.
that than skull.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I didn't feel like that was the part of my body that hit the ground the hardest. So um, yeah, Kamari was like, he's like, "Oh, do you have like a concussion?" I'm like, "No, concussion would have been like there's an amount of like getting dazed and
Okay. Uh-oh. I just got booped. Oh, that was you, Phil. Okay. That weirded me out. Mm-hmm. Wish I could have some soothing music playing for everybody right now, just for, you know, a welcoming. But if you've been paying attention to any of like the streaming world, that's a big it's a big deal now with DMCA and things getting taken down because you're playing copyrighted or potentially copyrighted music. So you get to hear the sweet soulful sounds of one Matt Goins. And there's me. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and get started here, folks. Um, uh, Happy Thursday. Welcome to the December WiscWeb Lunch and Learn. I sent out the agenda earlier this morning, but I have it up in front of you all now to kind of see what we're going to talk through. I've added a couple of things in there as well just to make sure that we touch on those that have sort of come to my attention throughout the day. Um, but we will kick off with a little. Oh, by the way, hi. I'm Matt Goins. For everybody who doesn't know me, I have members of the team with me as well who will pipe in when necessary or randomly prompted by me. But first item on the agenda is we are going to try to bring the Open Lab concept and process back. I know that we have a Teams channel. I know a lot of you reach out to me individually, and we do some one-on-one training or some one-on-one conversation. But we're going to bring back the Open Labs in a virtual space starting this month. The two dates are December 15th and December 17th. The 15th is 9 to 11 a.m. The 17th is 2 to 4 p.m. The link to register for the event is on the screen there. It's go.wisc.edu slash LKP3CF. I made it exceptionally exciting to type that in. But go to that Google Doc. Go ahead and throw yourself into one of the open slots on the table there. And essentially, the idea is we're going to try and book out 20-minute time frames so that we can interact with you. I don't know if 20 minutes is going to be long enough. I don't know if 20 minutes is going to be too long. Sometimes questions are quick. Sometimes questions involve a lot more in-depth conversation. So we're going to just kind of play it by ear for this first go around, and then once we get back in January and I start to schedule these out a little bit more, and we have a little bit of sort of reflection on how this went, we'll adjust as necessary. We're going to use Blackboard Collaborate. The link is in the doc that you would go to sign up for. Please limit yourself to one time reservation for the week just to make sure that we can fit in as many people as possible. And what? Sorry, I'm distracted by the chat. And if there requires further follow-up, we will certainly make sure that we try to address that for future conversations. Just so you know, obviously the WiscWeb staff will be on hand. Myself, Jenna, will have, for those of you who have interacted with him, Dan, our help desk agent, he will be there for the 15th. And then we're also going to have members of the Center for User Experience on hand as well. So again, for those of you who remember going to the in-person one, Adam Hillsmeyer, Christine Anderson, Jess Jones, Laura Grady, Sandy Arendolkowski, those folks, we're trying to involve them as well in our open labs because it's an opportunity for you not only to get help with just WiscWeb and WordPress, but also just website design, content strategy, user experience, accessibility, things like that. And so we want to encourage you, if you have questions about that kind of stuff, to also sign up for a slot because that way we can have you interact with those folks as well. It's a good opportunity to chat with them as well. To answer your question, Alexa, yes, that is perfectly fine. If you just have general questions about starting to use WiscWeb, starting to use WordPress, the Open Lab is just fine for that as well. So we kind of take all spectrums of the use of WiscWeb. So yeah, feel free to. Let's see. I'm not sure. Can I get a quick Um, is everybody hearing me?
I can hear you, Matt.
Okay, but you're in the Google Hangout with me, so
It's true. It looks like Linda, she said she just started hearing you.
okay. All right, that's weird. All right. Oh, okay. Weird.
Maybe
Wonder
give a little recap of what you already said.
if. Hey, folks, Open Labs, sign up. Come. I sorry, I don't know if it's me. I don't know. I remember I did have some issues, several of these back where my eye was lagging and it was a grand old time. All right. Yeah, really. Okay. So, anyways, the information's there. I really do encourage you to sign up if you have questions. Um, uh, Honestly, it's going to be an open room with a bunch of us hanging out in the collaborate session as well. So for those of you who would just kind of come to hang out and just kind of listen in, it's not going to be quite like that because we're going to try and keep this a bit structured. But you know, we're there. We're trying to bring ourselves to you a little bit more as we can now with this sort of virtual setup there. Okay, so that was the Open Labs part of it. Next up is a brief touch base on digital accessibility efforts that um, we're undertaking, but also to just kind of chat about some of the stuff that Sandy has been doing as well over at the user experience side of things. So one of the things that is again continuing to be a focal point of web design and web delivery of a lot of this content, especially since we've gone so very virtual with everything, is making sure that the content that you provide to your audience is accessible. Um, so to that extent, we have created an accessibility resources document. So that's that top link there. It's a knowledge base article 107373. It's this one right here. And it's just a general rundown of various pieces of information regarding accessibility, web accessibility, um, the UW themes accessibility, and other pieces of assistance for you. And then down the line there, from the Center for User Experience, Sandy Rundolkowski, she has, along with others, created various guides and an actual KB space for you um, to take advantage of for accessibility and usability. Hopefully this is something that you all will take advantage of because, again, we're in this world where everything is virtual. And even when we get back to quote unquote normal, I think what we'll have learned is delivery via digital means, via web, via video, teleconferencing, video meetings, things of that nature. It's going to persist because it has been shown to be effective, easy to manage, and easy to navigate. Um, so we want to make sure that you all are um, properly equipped to continue on with that process. So that is this space right here. Again, the UX team, they have accessibility testing. There are the guides there. There is the KB space, and then our document as well. I'll touch on this last one here in a second, but Jenna, anything you want to add about this? Because I know you have interacted with Sandy quite a bit for this.
I think, Sandy went over it in the community to practice, but for those who weren't able to attend that or aren't part of that group, um, just knowing that they have some really, really great knowledge-based documents is, I think, the biggest thing, but also that they have a process by which that you can submit a tool for or um, I guess like a tool or something that you're working with to have like an accessibility review. So that's available via their services as well. And they've also just got those great guides. I think they've done so much work. They have some really great information, and they're really, really open to questions and working with you on anything that you are wondering about. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Um, so to the last point, I don't know if Rich is in the chat if he's watching, but um, yesterday at the Community of Practice presentation, Sandy was one of the speakers, and she gave a very in-depth presentation about accessibility and resources and tools that you can use to test for accessibility, and just a general good all-around conversation about accessibility, I guess, all around. Um, and so if you were invited, you should have access to the recording. I don't know about a follow-up presentation to make it more available to audiences. Again, that's why I said reach out to Rich for more information there. One thing I do want to point out is if you go out to our site, wiscweb.wisc.edu, underneath my training page, and then over here on the right, there are they're all here now, but some of these will be going away. If you go under all training videos, there is down below a user experience and content management section. Um, this one right here, accessibility for content creators. This is a presentation that Sandy gave um, a while ago. I don't even remember when it was for this one, but it was a very in-depth conversation about what you should be thinking about. She introduced the Wave tool and talked a little bit about some of the strategies that you can put in place for checking for and addressing accessibility. So that also is an option there for you. So hopefully we can have some follow-up back from Rich in regards to making that video from yesterday a little more widely available. But for now, um, these resources do exist out there. Let's see. I see a Mercedes question there, so I'm just going to do this real quick. There you go. I'm copying and pasting that into the chat so that it's there for people to take advantage of. Okay. So, brief reminder about data tables. If you remember, we sent out a communication last month, I believe it was now, that there was an update to Google that Google Sheets were no longer displaying when you were using them for your source within WP data tables. There is still not an update to that with the plugin, so we're kind of waiting. We'll update the plugin once we can get it and test it to make sure that it, doesn't break anything else that we're doing here. There is still a workaround for it that was working. If you go to your Google Sheet that is currently published, in the upper right corner, you can kind of see it here with the Google slides. You click share, and you set the sharing to anyone with the link, and then click done. Then go back and do hopefully a hard refresh of your do a hard refresh, and hopefully your sheet will be displayed, or your table will be displayed as expected. So it's a known issue. The plugin vendor knows about it. There is no workaround for it, or there is no update to the plugin yet. So that's kind of the update there. Okay. Again, we're getting some chatter in the chat there, so if you have questions, please go ahead and throw those in. Um, Slight update regarding Kaltura that kind of popped up earlier this week and then also was brought to my attention again today. Um, so, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who do, you can embed videos that you have uploaded to your Kaltura space. Mediaspace.wisc.edu is the URL for that. You have to publish them and publish them as unlisted. And then you can use the oembed function. So there's a KB doc out there that kind of goes through embedding options there. Well, earlier this week, that oembed wasn't working. And so I reached out to the Learn at UW team, and they let me know that it was a known issue, but it has been resolved. So I was testing it out today, and I was still having some issues with uh, one of my videos not appearing, but another video would appear. So what they recommended and what they did to test it was they went back in, set the video back to private, then and saved it, then set it back to unlisted and resaved it, and then the embed function would work. So I just wanted to let people know because sometimes you don't know about these things not working because you're not looking at every page on a daily basis and checking to make sure that things are working that you expect to be working. So just be aware, go take a peek at your videos, make sure they're working, and if you are having any issues, please let us know, reach out to us so that we can capture it in a ticket that we can then interact with the Learn at UW team as well from there. Let's see. We're sliding along faster than I thought we would be. Let's see. Alexa, I think we answered that question earlier, but again, it might have been my audio issues. Um, the the open labs are for anyone, regardless of time in website creation or skill level of developing website. We're there to kind of answer any and all questions that you might have regarding building a website. So they're there for you. So please sign up. Linda, why don't you pop a ticket in? Give me the pages that they're not working on, and then, if possible, the links to the videos themselves. So that way I can interact with the Learn at UW team to kind of follow up on this a little bit. Because, yeah, he had to do some tinkering with mine. I would say first, Linda, try the steps that I put on here. Go to a video, set it to private, save it, set it back to unlisted, save it, and test to see if the video is working. And then if it still isn't, send me or send a ticket into CMS support so that we can kind of capture that and have a ticket that we can share with the Learn at UW team. Okay, so a user survey will be coming after the new year. So for those of you who have been with the service for some time, you'll remember that a couple years ago we did a pretty large survey just asking about the service, your interaction with the service, with us, the use of WordPress and things of that nature. It's been a couple of years, and we are now going to do another survey, and a couple of reasons for this. One, honestly, we get a lot of feedback from individuals. We love the feedback. We really do value it because it does let us know what we need to address, pivot towards, reflect on, things of that nature. So we value your feedback. We really do. Honestly, in 2 years, our service has grown significantly. We have a lot more sites, a lot more new site admins and site editors, a lot of new faces in our service. And we really want to capture those new voices as well, because we want to be able to know how our service is doing. We have a lot of you that are very long time loyal users of the service, and I can't state enough how much we genuinely appreciate the interactions we have. There's a lot of folks who maybe we haven't had that chance to build that relationship with, either because they just haven't come in to meet with us, or COVID and not being able to come in and get trained by me in person, come into the open labs in person. We haven't built those relationships. So this is kind of a chance for us to hear back from everyone. So I really want to encourage people to fill it out. So what this is going to do, it's going to help us with our future planning. What else can we do within our service? How do we make this easier for you? How do we make this better for you? We hear a lot of the same feedback on a regular basis. Plugins, page elements, speed when you're editing internally. Those things we're aware of. There are lots of things that people might want or might be thinking of that we're not aware of, and we want to know what those are, because it will help influence the decisions that we make and the things that we can provide to our leadership to say, look, here's X percentage of our user base that's looking for this particular thing. So it really is important that we get that feedback so that we can provide said feedback to others. Honestly, it's something that I think would be kind of interesting to also re-present to all of you, to kind of see where you all feel, because you might feel a certain way. You don't know if anybody else feels that way. So it'd be something nice to present back to you all as well. Last thing to really show right now is to touch on what our support and launch process is going to look like for the next few weeks. Obviously, it's December. It's holiday time. A great number of people are going to be taking vacations during this time. So we wanted to make sure that we reiterate any site launches that are coming in are going to have to be pushed to beyond January 4th, because that's when the bulk of our staff will be back in mass. Remember that we do require that 2-week window for launch requests as well, so that's where we're getting into that. Like we're a week into December right now. That 2-week window puts us right at Christmas and New Year's week, and so we're just not going to be able to launch sites in that time frame. We're just not going to have the staff around to do that. So just be aware of that. We'll get it done when we get back, but you're going to have to give us an extra week when you make your request. I'll get to that second bullet in a second, because it's a topic for us right now. We will have limited support between December 21st and January 4th. That's when the bulk of our staff will be taking their vacation. So for a number of you who reach out via email directly to me, directly to Jenna, or if there are tickets that you're waiting to have us follow up on, just be aware of that fact that during that time frame we're going to be quieter. You're always welcome to email cms-support at doit.wis.edu to our help desk, and they will try to answer as best as they can. Otherwise, it will get bumped up to us, and we will get to it as we can. So that being said, I wanted to, and I thought about this when I was making these slides this morning, I wanted to put out a quick reminder about what a launched site means, because this is actually something that we have talked about as a team, and I know Jenna has been looking into how to make this process a little easier to follow and easier to understand. So when you request a site, you get essentially a temporary sandbox site, something.wiscweb.wisc.edu. Technically, it's a live site, but it is not yet a launched site. What launched means is you are no longer looking at a something.wiscweb.wisc.edu site. You are looking at a something.something.wisc.edu site, or whatever your preferred final URL is going to be. So you want to make sure that you're aware of what that launch actually means, because we have a number of sites that we're following up with now that um, that uh, that haven't launched or haven't done much with their sites yet, and maybe forgot about everything in regards to their website. Um, we just wanted to make sure that we reiterated that, because again, lots of new faces, lots of new editors and admins, some people picking up the ball that was dropped by somebody else who was working on a site before and just kind of, you know, walked away from it. So we just wanted to make sure we pointed out what that quick reminder looks like there. So anything you want to add about that, Jenna?
Yeah, we had a question in the chat from Linda. So Linda was wondering about how previously we had pre-launched URLs would kind of like redirect automatically to your production domain even after launch. And that changed over a year ago when we did a process to our domain mapping in order to improve our page load speeds. We actually decommissioned our old domain mapping plugin and opted for the native domain mapping feature that WordPress offers by default instead. And unfortunately, with the domain mapping plugin, it allowed us to kind of have that like redirect relationship. The new process doesn't. So what we did instead was, if you have your old WiscWeb domain bookmarked or something, or you go to it, it'll bring you to a site not found page, but it will show you the related website below that you can click on to get through. I don't know if you, I'm trying to think of an example of that. If you go to one map, maybe you can show like what happens.
There we go. I'm back. I had muted myself. So what one could I go to? I'm trying to think.
It should work for like Weissman even.
Do I have to put in the W's? That's always my question with Wiseman.
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, it looks like Scott has one.
You can go to recwell.wiscweb.wis.edu and it'll tell you.
Okay, there we go. So, yep. Cannot be found. Related site. recwell.wis.edu. Okay. All right. I'm holding for questions just because I don't know. And delay. All right. So I will continue on, and hearing no objection from my team, I'm going to beg of.
One question, sorry.
What?
I just have one question.
Oh.
If there's any insight that users have into how we might improve that launch process for you and add clarity, especially as it can be very confusing with the production domain versus the project domain, and just the process by which you launch your site. If there's insight or feedback about that process, we are actively trying to improve that for our users and would love to get your feedback on where your pain points are and how we might be able to improve that if you have ideas.
Mm-hmm. Linda asked another question, Jenna, that is in relation to this topic, the forwarding process.
Oh, I see. Let me check one quickly.
Yes, Meg, because essentially what we do is we do a process. I'm probably going to mislabel this. Scott can probably correct me, but we kind of do a search and replace and remove the WiscWeb like existence for it. So you still exist within the WiscWeb service, but the references to a WiscWeb URL should be removed once you've launched. Scott didn't jump in to correct me, so I'm going to go with I'm right.
You did great.
Thanks. But I know we've been doing an effort over the last couple of weeks to get in touch with some of our users who have had. So, like, if you have just requested a site within the last month or two, or I don't even know how far back we're going with this conversation, we're getting in touch with a lot of our older sites that are still sitting in a WiscWeb domain, and just kind of touching base and seeing like, hi, how are you doing? Do you still need a site? Do you need to launch your site? That kind of conversation. So that's one reason why I wanted to touch on this, was just because of the fact that we want to make sure that people actually are understanding that their site really isn't out there. So, alrighty. So that's it for the actual agenda. But if you'll all just give me one brief second, I wanted to pivot to something that I wanted to show all of you for kind of like an end of year informational thing. And I have to log into this thing because I just kind of thought about doing this right now. So, WiscWeb. All right, so this is going to be a bit of a test of patience while I show you this, but for those of you who have met him or interacted with him, Jonathan Dietering, who he kind of interacts with our team. He's one of our developers. He put together. He's kind of like our master of analytics within our whole group, the WPS group, the Web Platform Services group. And he put together a dashboard that just basically collects all of this stuff. So one of the things that I wanted to show was just to give you guys an idea of what the numbers have been like WiscWeb wide for the service, and to show you that information just for, I don't know, humor's sake on my end. I always find some of the things interesting and or funny for this. But this is essentially 2020 WiscWeb analytics, and just kind of some of the things to be aware of. You know, over almost 8 million users came to a WiscWeb site, almost 15 million sessions, 32 million page views. So this is all of WiscWeb sites. There's a lot of drilling down that could be done here. This is one of the things where we always encourage folks to make use of their analytics so that you can kind of see some of this stuff over a period of time. Total numbers of countries reached, 219 countries total reached, and then almost 13,000 cities reached, which is just interesting to me from that standpoint. So this is one. Average page load time, 3 seconds. That's, could be better, could be worse. Total number of domains visited, so that gives you an idea of WiscWeb's capacity right now. We are serving a large number of sites within our service. So, and then some of the top search terms that exist within our service. Again, some of these probably aren't too surprising, but tuition, summer, warrant, ugh, housing, scholarships. And then the one that we are, so as a team, we are always humored by this, but the most visited page, I would assume this is the most visited page at UW-Madison, but at least within the WiscWeb service, the most visited page is the writing center's page about semicolons, and it's the top page by far. And then you can kind of look down at the other top pages there over that period. And then top domains. So you get a kind of an idea of the size of sites that WiscWeb serves. Now, obviously, this is showing some domains that are key campus wide and have a much broader audience than what your particular site might have. So don't look at this and go, oh, we got to get up there to that number. No, no, no. You want to make sure that you're meeting the needs of your audience. Don't worry about this stuff. Worry about your audience. Those are the numbers that matter the most. But I just wanted to show this and kind of show you what this kind of thing can do. So this is Data Studio, which is a Google function. This isn't something that we can really teach you how to do, nor is it something that we can really support. I just really wanted to show you this because I wanted you to sort of see the numbers that exist within the WiscWeb service. And you all are a part of it, and I think it's relevant to you all as well to see what it is that we do, what we provide. So, I don't know. Any interesting thoughts from the team? You're all on the spot. None. Okay. So that's really it for our presentation. Obviously, we can hang out and answer any other questions that are coming in, and kind of keep the stream going if there are some other conversations that anybody else on the team wants to have. Essentially, that last screen there is kind of what we want. Stay safe, have a happy holidays, etc. Let's see. Data Studio, is it a part of Google Analytics? It is not. It is another Google service. So Google has the world at their fingertips. Google Analytics is one. Google Tag Manager is another. Google Studio, Data Studio, is another. And what Data Studio does is it allows you to create visualizations of the content that is collected, or of the information that is collected via Google Analytics, as well as other sources. But again, I don't know anything about Data Studio other than it looks cool. So that's about all I can tell you about it. And again, it's not really something that we can train you on or really show you how to do. It's very interesting and a very cool way to collect and display that data. But it's all being fed from, essentially in our case, it's being fed from Google Analytics. And I'm pretty sure there are tutorials out there to get you started. But I know nothing. So, yeah, Rich, just again, give a brief shout out to Rich, and then let's see, support the community of practice group. Just to bring this up, just so you all are aware, the community of practice group meets monthly, and they will have guest speakers, guest presenters. Again, yesterday was Sandy Arundel-Kowski from the Center for User Experience, and I do encourage people to get involved. It's a good spot for questions. It's a good spot for conversation. It is a lot of skill levels of users in WordPress, from basic to long-time users. It's there for you to take advantage of another spot where your voice could be heard. So I do encourage folks to get involved with that. All right. If no other questions, I never know because the delay is enough where I'm like, it's time to go, goodbye, and then 5 questions come in. So we'll call it there. Thanks everybody for tuning in this month. Again, we look forward to seeing those of you who will be at the Open Lab next week. Look ahead to January. We will do more Open Labs. We're going to clean the process up, but we will definitely work on that. But otherwise, let's call it there. And Linda, I'll follow up with you in a second after I say goodbye, and have a good holiday, everyone, and we'll talk to you again next month. Linda, send us an email, because that's something we'd have to touch base with Sandy on. Because widgets are a WordPress function, not so much a UW theme function. So we would need to reach out to Sandy and get her expertise on that conversation. But okay, I'm going up to click the end stream button now. Goodbye, everybody.